You're listening to FabulosiTEA, in which we discuss what you bring to the tea party, essentials for the modern heroine.
I'm Caroline from Sparkles and Crumbs.
And I'm Xandra from Fashionably Light.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of FabulosiTEA, episode 19, in which we discuss giving our regards to Broadway.
Yay!
Yay!
Well,
which Xandra's kind of lead today because she's actually been to Broadway, wherever it's just a distant dream for me.
You've been to the West End, right?
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
No one sings about it in Singing in the Rain, though.
Well, we decided to do this topic because Tony season is upon us, and for those of you who don't know, that's like the Oscars for Broadway musicals. So I thought this would be a relevant time to talk about Broadway, give you a little introduction.
Jazz hands!
Jazz hands! But first, we'll start with our FabulosiTEAs. What is fabuloso in your life today?
Mine's a beauty thing.
Cool.
Coconut oil.
Ooh, what do you do with it?
Changed my life. It's insane.
Really?
So I read about this oil pulling thing. I don't know if you've seen it.
Pulling?
Oil pulling. It's this bizarre kind of craze, essentially, that it's supposed to be some Ayurvedic practice where it sounds really weird, and it kind of is. In the morning when you wake up, you put a big tablespoon of coconut oil in your mouth and swirl it around your mouth for 20 minutes, and it pulls out all, like, the dirt and, like, guck from out of your teeth and from between your teeth. And then you, like, spit it out, and, yeah, you can brush your teeth as normal or whatever, but my teeth have felt so much cleaner, and they've got whiter.
That's crazy.
And so I then started using it as a cleanser, and it's amazing. Like, it wipes off all your makeup.
Oh, wow.
It's really moisturized, and then you can, I've been using it then as moisturizer as well, like mixing a tiny little bit with my, like, CC cream or BB cream, and it's just so gorgeous.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try that.
You can use it in your hair, like, for your scalp, if you have a sore scalp. Like, it's insane. I feel like I don't need, I'm going on holiday this week to the beach, and I feel like I'm going to bring that, and that's my cleanser, my, like, lotion, conditioner, moisturizer. It's insane.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very Fashionably Light as well. It's like a multi-purpose thing. I just have coconut oil for cooking and baking because it's apparently
apparently you can cook with it. I've just been slathering it all over my body apparently.
Well, yeah, multi-purpose. Wow.
Yeah. So I just got like a huge jar from like an organic food shop. It's amazing.
Cool.
I've been selling it to chatting it up to everyone.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like a blog post in itself. Uses for coconut oil.
I think there's like hundreds or something ridiculous. But yay. So good.
It's exciting.
What is your FabulosiTEA, Xandra?
Well, mine you can't eat or put on your face, but I just got a Kate Spade planner.
I love Kate Spade.
Oh my gosh, you don't even know how much I love Kate Spade.
Do you remember we went in the shop there in Covent Garden?
Oh yeah. I mean, I always go in whenever I see it.
And you're walking around going like, I want this and this and this.
Yeah, that sounds like me. So I pretty much know their entire stock at any one given point. And
so brilliant.
They're doing the Around the World thing this year. So every month is a different city. And they have a collection based on it. It's so cute. And they have a planner that has a little illustration, gorgeous illustration, inspired by each destination at the beginning of each month. And because it's partway through the year, the planner is half off. So I splurged on one. And what I really like about it as well is that it breaks it down by hour. So it'll have like the month calendar in the beginning. And then it has like for each day, 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And I really like that because I will often just write that out myself.
That's so useful. It's like Xandra's perfect planner.
It is.
Oh, I want one.
It's bulky, so it's sort of something I keep on my desk rather than something I carry around, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, best of both worlds.
Yeah.
You like your little dinky one to take with you.
I do, yeah.
I imagine like a Jane Austen heroine, like writing down all your engagements at the end of the day.
Yes.
Which you'll write down.
It's a good way to record it as well. Because I got it, and then I was like, well, I don't know exactly what I'm doing tomorrow, but I know what I did yesterday, so I can write that down for memory's sake. So, shall we go to Broadway?
Yes! Let's go to Broadway! So I told you when we first came up with this topic, the first thing that came to my mind was we're both big Smash fans
Oh my gosh.
of the TV show Smash. I still haven't finished the second season. I know I kind of lost the plot a little bit, but at the start of the second season, one of the characters sings a song called Broadway, Here I Come.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I absolutely love it. I flounce around town with it in my headphones, feeling very dramatic.
It has a
So
really
good.
good soundtrack. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
highly recommend Smash too. Probably anyone
it's
who listens to
amazing.
this podcast would enjoy Smash.
I feel like they would. It's fabulous. It's kind of about, well, it's essentially about a Broadway production in rehearsal for the first season about the life of Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
It's like my dream. And it's got Jack Davenport in it and Angelica Houston.
Yeah, all sorts of people.
It's quite fabulous.
And it's sort of a peek into how the Broadway world functions. I'm sure it's a little more dramatic than reality, but I don't think it's too far off.
Oh, it's so backstabbing and
Yeah. And the ups and downs. So I did a little bit of research on the history of Broadway, where I think it, like anything, it just sort of fell into place. And the theaters ended up settling in Midtown New York just because that area had less expensive property. And slowly over time, Broadway started to develop the icons that we recognize today. So they started to put electric signs outside the theaters in the 20th century. And that's
okay.
how it got the nickname The Great White Way. And right now, it's this sort of condensed area of New York with lots of theaters, lots of bright lights, and it's a huge tourist attraction. And the West End sort of has the same reputation, and they're intertwined. So if you go to Broadway.com, it'll say locations, and you can go to London and see the West End
And
section.
a lot of the plays kind of change between them, don't they?
Yeah.
They'll start in one place and then travel to the other.
Right, exactly.
So what shows have you seen on Broadway?
I've seen a lot. I have this binder in front of me. I'll hold it up so you can see. It's a playbill.
Oh, it's so official looking.
Yeah, it's an official playbill binder, and that's where you can store your playbills, surprisingly enough. That's one difference between Broadway and West End, is that on Broadway they'll give you these iconic playbills with a yellow square or rectangle at the top.
Oh, yeah, at the West End you have to like pay £10 to get a
Yeah,
print.
you have to buy them. I mean, they're prettier and everything, but it's nice to have a little keepsake and have the actors' bios in there, and sometimes they get famous and I go back and read them. Like I saw...
Have you gone and gone backstage and like met someone?
one of the traditions is you can wait outside the stage door for the actors to come out. So I waited like 40 minutes for Daniel Radcliffe to come out of Equus. And I didn't get his autograph or anything because there were so many people, but it's exciting to see them come out. And
So
the
exciting.
like people who are celebrities to me, but maybe not to like the rest of the world, will stop and chat with you and take pictures.
So this is kind of not Broadway, but similar in terms of hero worship, but probably a bit more terrifying than your story. When I was 17, I went to go see John Mayer at the Royal Albert Hall with my friend, and I absolutely loved him. I still do. And we waited by the stage door, and his car tried to drive away, and I managed to jump on the bonnet and get like a picture.
Oh my gosh.
And like I showed it to everyone after. I was so proud. Everyone was like, you were actually really close. You kind of had actually perched on the bonnet. He looks really afraid. I was like, nah, he's fine.
Well, that is an experience.
Yeah, for him. You
Maybe
can
he
hit that
remembers
crazy
you.
little girl. She's bounced off the car. So what was your favourite Broadway show you ever saw?
Oh gosh, it changes. So one of the first shows I ever saw was The Phantom of the Opera, and this actor, Hugh Panaro, was playing the Phantom, and he has the most gorgeous voice. So he's sort of what inspired me to continue to sing and to be really into Broadway. So I came back actually to see him again, specifically in Phantom, because he's beautiful. But more, and Phantom of the Opera is the longest running show on Broadway, so it's sort of a crowd pleaser in general. I would say it really depends on who's playing the lead characters, whether or not it's actually a good show, because I've seen a bad version of it. But when
I've seen it in London.
Oh, you have? Did you enjoy it?
I did. My friend and I really preferred, Raoul, the other guy? We were like, he's so much better than the creepy Phantom.
Well, sure.
I love the song Think of Me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
Getting
yeah,
carried.
Broadway classic right there. And it's a beautifully designed production as well. And more recently, I absolutely loved Matilda, the musical, which is another one that started in the West
Ooh,
End.
I haven't seen that. Did
You
you know my
should.
cousin, for a long time, I don't think she works anymore, but she used to work in the West End and she was responsible for hiring and then looking after the kids who performed in Billy Elliot.
Oh my gosh.
And then she worked for Matilda as well. How
Wow.
cool is that job?
My sister adores Billy Elliot and she knows everything about it. She probably knows your cousin's
She
name.
probably does, yeah.
But we've seen it so many times because there are multiple kids who play the different Billies. And she was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, we have to see this one now. Now we have to see the other one. So I know a little bit about that show. On the most recent trip to London, actually, we saw one of the younger Billies in one of his first shows. And partway through, the curtain closed and they said there had been some technical difficulties. And they announced that the Billy had a minor injury. There's nothing to worry about, but for a precaution, they were replacing him with another Billy who was on standby. So we got to see two Billy Elliots in one show. And the other one was older and like more aggressive as well. So it was like he suddenly grew up.
You're like, go you, Billy.
There's also a production of Wicked in which Kristin Chenoweth got hurt.
Love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Original cast with Idina Menzel and Kristin Chenoweth. Well, she got injured partway through the show, so they had to replace her with the standby Glinda. And Kristin Chenoweth is tiny, so when the new Glinda came on stage, Idina Menzel goes, "Glinda, you've grown." Yeah.
Oh, poor Kristin Chenoweth. I love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, so a lot of famous actors that are sort of household names now started on Broadway.
Oh, like who?
Well, like Kristin Chenoweth, we were just saying. And Idina Menzel's getting all the popularity due to Frozen lately.
Yeah, what was her name? What was it? John Travolta called her. Was it John Travolta?
Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem. How did you even get that from that?
Yeah, have you seen Travoltify?
Yes, you can look at your Travolta name.
Yeah, you put in your name and it'll say what John Travolta would call you.
So how do you find the whole kind of Broadway experience? Do you have any kind of tips for getting tickets or how to dress, as always?
Yeah, so there are several options for tickets with the West End. I would suggest looking at Theatre Monkey, which has a very extensive guide, theater by theater, of like which seats are good. And sometimes it'll say, even though this seat is more expensive, it's not as good as this cheaper seat. And then it will also link to several places where they are selling tickets for that show. Another good option is lastminute.co.uk, where they'll have cheaper seats. And in general, the West End is a lot more affordable than Broadway.
Oh, yeah, there's loads of deals. Last Minute's really good.
Yeah. Broadway is like triple the price. So if they're playing the same thing and it's probably the same quality in West End and you're over there, then go see it there. I'm also subscribed to a lot of theater newsletters. I'm not sure if that works with Broadway as well, probably. But they'll give you updates on when there's a special offer going on.
Ooh.
But in general, for Broadway, I just go to the TKTS booth, which is in Times Square, and I think there's another location as well, where you get there a few hours early, you get in line, and they have half price or normally like 30% off or some sort of discount.
Like kind of last minute
Yeah.
tickets,
Yeah, so there's a bit of a
the house.
gamble involved where you're not sure if there are going to be seats available. But if you're trying to see something like Phantom, some of those shows that have been on forever,
the
you're
classics.
likely to get a good deal there. Or if you just want to see a show and you don't really mind which one, then sometimes we'll get in line and then see what's available.
Oh, that's such a good idea. Yeah. When I ever get to New York, I'll do that.
Yeah. Well, they have TKTS in London as well.
There's a couple around Leicester Square and things. And
yeah, which I've done once. But the deals for London in general online are really good.
I think my friends and I went and saw a couple of years ago, went and saw Legally Blonde, and we got, kind of dinner and drinks and kind of like ridiculous all-inclusive deal.
Oh yeah, Last Minute does that where they have like a restaurant partner. Yeah, so I like to get dinner before a show, usually somewhere really close to the theater, and around there, if you tell them we have a show to catch at this time, the restaurants are used to knowing
Yeah, yeah, it's really useful.
to be to make sure you're on time, just as long as you tell them beforehand. And I like to get to the theater as early as I can, usually about 20 minutes, because people tend to rock up to the box office around like 5 minutes or a few minutes before. So if you get there really early, then you can just walk right in. If you're picking up tickets at Will Call or something, and then you get to enjoy the theater itself, because it's usually, well, pretty much always a gorgeous theater.
But in the dark.
Well, it's not too dark when you sit down.
No, so like normally when you go to theatre, the lights go down and you're focusing on the stage rather than...
Right. So if you're like rushing in, then you're going to miss that experience of soaking in the atmosphere.
Cambridge is quite like a small scale theatre scene, and we went to go see a kind of really funny play the other day actually, and our friend organised it, and he was like, we were having dinner beforehand, it was getting quite late, he's like, no, it's fine, it never starts on time, does it? And we were like, it's not a film. It's not going to be adverts. It's a theatre.
There's the unwritten rule that shows always start like 5 minutes late.
Yeah, we got there in time.
It's better to prepare and be earlier, so you're not like...
And then you can go get like wine and ice cream at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that ice cream is such a thing in the London theaters.
Oh yeah.
It isn't at all in America.
That's so sad.
Yeah, because like I went to the theater with one of my friends, and she's like, well, of course we have to get ice cream at the theater. Sort of like how I equate popcorn with the cinema.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I'm all for ice cream at any hour of the day. So yes, but I just found that funny.
Yeah, for those who have not been to like an English play, we had little kind of ushers selling pots of ice cream during the kind of interval.
It's really cute.
We're so quaint.
And in most places now you can pre-order a drink or a snack, and they'll have it sitting ready for you at the intermission or interval, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on.
Oh, I went to see Singing in the Rain in the West End a while back, and they had actual rain falling on the audience.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
The big Singing in the Rain number.
Like, did you got really wet? Or was it just...
Not like wet enough. It was just like a little sprinkle, and everyone was kind of like, oh God. And also it was raining fully on the stage, and the actor was like just kicking puddles at the front row. So quite glad I wasn't there. I presume they warned people.
I think you can get away with that in England. People are used to rain all the time.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
So something I found interesting is that the musicals in the Roaring Twenties became more popular because the cinemas started to compete with the theaters. So the theaters were like, how do we stay in business? What can we provide that the movie theaters cannot? And that was big ticket named actors that people would want to come see in person, as well as these big choreographed numbers that people would really appreciate the immediacy of.
Oh, well, Singing in the Rain is one of my favourite movies of all time.
Yes.
And I don't... Everyone, you must have seen it, right? There's the amazing sequence at the end, which is kind of his 15-minute ballet, essentially, and choreographed whole dance routine about Broadway. He's like, like, don't bring a frown to old Broadway. And it's all kind of set around a young huckster arriving on Broadway and trying to get a job in the theatre there, but it's all done through, dance and really great song. Oh, I love it. I love that movie. It's like my go-to happy movie.
Aww. It's funny how many Broadway musicals are self-referential like that, where they'll talk about or sing about Broadway.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, it's a very niche crowd, I think, especially in America. It's sort of this thing that people geek out over is Broadway. It's its own little subculture.
Well, look at you and your binder.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there are people who will go see a show that they love. Certain shows attract really loyal audiences, like Spring Awakening. Rent has their Rent Heads.
Rent Heads?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and there's lately been a trend of movie musicals have been back in style. So lately we've had like Chicago, Hairspray, Rent. Into the Woods is coming out this year, which I'm excited about because that's my favorite musical.
Ooh.
Well, you asked me that earlier. It's my favorite musical, but I've never actually seen it. I was just in it in high school,
Oh,
and
amazing.
I love it. Sondheim is fantastic. So something we should probably address is like the different kinds of musicals that, or not even just musicals, because Broadway has plays as well.
Yeah, some people hate musicals, but then they watch once.
Yeah,
It's a very kind of non-traditional musical, and it's kind of Glenn Hansard from The Frames sings the soundtrack and acts in it, and it's a very kind of it's basically kind of a modern romantic drama set in Ireland, but and the songs come into it very naturally. I think a lot of people say they hate the way people just burst into song in musicals. I mean, I
right.
love that. I wish that happened in my life all the time, but so that's kind of a little bit more realistic, I think, and a way to get the
Yeah,
music in a way that feels natural because they're both musicians in it.
right. Yeah, and they have the orchestra all on stage as actors as well, which is
Oh,
very
I've only seen the
cohesive.
movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, but I saw the musical on Broadway.
Oh, between us, we've seen them.
Yeah,
So that's maybe a good one to take someone like it's usually guys, isn't it, who just don't particularly usually the boyfriends who aren't huge musical fans.
yeah. Once is a great one for music fans who you
Mm.
maybe want to convert into musical fans. And I mean, the technical definition of an opera is a musical that's sung through, like the entire thing is sung, including dialogue. So Rent is a rock opera, and there you don't really have people bursting into song either because the entire thing is
Because
song.
they never stop.
They never stop. Yeah. And Sondheim is similar, where most of it is sung through, and Sondheim is quite philosophical usually as well. So, you mean, people are like, oh, Broadway musicals are too happy and dancey. Well, go see Sondheim then.
So, go to see Sondheim then.
Yeah, it's so dark. Like, Sweeney Todd?
Yeah, oh, I never went to see that. I don't really like murderers.
Yeah. Well, that's the classic example of a musical that isn't happy go lucky.
That isn't Enchanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, but sinister as well. Have you seen any other shows on the West End?
I saw a lot when I was. I don't. I'm trying to think. I feel like I saw The Lion King when I was very little. I went and saw Beauty and the Beast when it was shown when I was very little. All the Disney ones, obviously.
Yeah, the Disney ones are great.
I saw Pygmalion with maybe imagines no, it was Rupert Everett as
Oh, cool.
What's his name? God, this is bad. Henry Higgins.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'll usually go if something really takes my fancy. I think usually with my mum or a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun to have a girls' night out at the theater.
And it's so different seeing a film. It's so different. It's such an experience.
Yeah, you really feel the presence of the actors on stage.
Oh, I once saw. Oh, I was about to say Kristen Stewart. That's awful. Kristen Scott Thomas in Chekhov's The Seagull. I mean,
Oh, cool.
and she was. Oh my gosh! Like the stage presence of that woman. You hear about it, but she was magnetic.
Yeah.
Like when someone walks onto the stage and the air literally changes, and I'd never seen that before. She was incredible.
Yeah, and you can't that doesn't translate to film.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like she's good in films, but I was just like, oh, I want to be you, Kristen.
Yeah, it really draws you in and draws in your focus, especially knowing I can't rewind this, I can't pause this. I have to watch it now or never. It's going to disappear in a few seconds.
Oh, and I went and saw Rebecca Hall and Ethan Hawke in A Winter's Tale.
Cool.
And they were amazing.
There are a lot of celebrities on stage
Yeah.
these days.
These days.
These days. Well, actually, that's sort of always been a trend since the Roaring Twenties, apparently. But lately, they've been on for shorter runs. So, like, we have Neil Patrick Harris in Hedwig and the Angry Inch right now.
Oh, I love Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, me too. That is really expensive. But I've been introduced to a lot of other plays and musicals just because I went to go see a certain actor. Like Sarah and I went to see Rupert Grint and Ben Whishaw.
Oh, the Englishans.
Yeah, in Mojo, which...
Oh, was it good?
Yeah, they were fantastic. Shall we wrap up the episode?
Yes, we probably should go carried.
We could talk about Broadway for
I
hours.
feel like I can talk about Broadway more than I initially thought I could.
Yeah.
But before we get carried away, I suppose we should probably round it off. So, Xandra, you're always a good one on our usual prompt. How do you bring this to the tea party?
Well, if you have the option to go see some theater in Broadway or the West End, then...
Even locally.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about those in particular just to narrow down the focus of this episode, and because it's such a specific, glamorous experience, or you can make it that way anyways. But, of course, I will advocate going to see any kind of play. The ones on Broadway and West End tend to be more accessible to the general public. I think it's a good introduction into the theater scene, but of course, if you can't make it there, just go see something and have an open mind. And if you don't enjoy it, then just remember that you'll enjoy something else. There's something for everybody in the theater. I
have ice cream.
Firmly believe that. Now have the ice cream. And like we discussed, there are a lot of movies based on these musicals, like Mamma Mia as well.
Yes, I really want to see that live.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, so you can still experience some of the Broadway atmosphere through film now. Of course, it's not the same, but you get a little taste of it. Yeah, anything to add?
Well, obviously, we always love getting comments on our episode and feedback. Little Pink Bear commented on our post. Little Pink Bear commented on YouTube, actually, on the YouTube video for our episode on luxurious loungewear, saying, "Love this episode. I'm totally with Xandra on the sock thing. I even have to wear little collar ones in the summer because my feet get so cold." Xandra, you're not alone.
I'm not alone. I was so happy to see that. Sock pride.
Sock pride, bad circulation pride. And as always, please do get in touch with your thoughts on this week's episode. Have you been to Broadway? Would you recommend any shows? At FabulosiTEA, that's TA.com. You can leave a comment on the site. You can find us on Twitter or Facebook. And as always, please do pop us a review on iTunes.
Yes, that helps us invite more people to our tea party. We're also sending out another newsletter this week at FabulosiTEA.com/subscribe, where you can get the tea pairing for this week's episode, as well as the Diana Vreeland quote of the week.
She's so fabulous, Steve.
She is.
And don't forget to check back next Friday at British Tea Time for episode 20, Packing One's Beach-Bound Bag.
Happy summer.
Well, I'm going to be doing that in 2 days, Xandra.
Yay! Research. Just for this episode, right?
It's so research. So we will see you then.
See you then. Thanks for tuning in.